has to be reduced. We've got to deal with the deficit and the problem that we inherited, and that will continue that way. And the local government and the fire service, and that's one of the reasons actually it is important to look at some of the new ways of moving forward, some of the savings we can find through the service, through collaboration, through shared management, through shared services, better procurement, all of the things outlined in Sir Ken's report, to make sure that we're better equipped to be able to deal with that changing future and, fortunately, the falling number of problems that we do have. And that's also why I think it's really important we stay very focused around prevention. In terms of the LGA report, I'll let the LGA cover their report. It's not for me to outline the details of their report, that's for the LGA. But as I say, in terms of the funding from central government, I've made our position quite clear on that in the local government review this year. Whoever's sitting in my chair, from whatever party, the direction of travel for central government funding for the local government family, including the fire service, is only going in one direction. You've not heard anybody from any party say anything other than that, so let's not kid ourselves around that. And in terms of the pensions, yes, obviously there is an ongoing dispute. We're still having regular conversations around that, but the reality is, because of the, and it is, don't get me wrong, it's absolutely amazing work that firefighters do on a daily basis, not just through the floods, and that's why it's absolutely right that we do everything we can to make sure, which we have done, that firefighters have one of the best pensions in the public sector, some would argue the best, certainly the most protected,
unless you're an MP.
In terms of what we've been able to deliver. And actually, your point about not realising volunteers, I absolutely realise they're volunteers. A lot of people I know very well actually were out volunteering during that, and that's why I make the point, and I have done on a regular basis, as is the Prime Minister and the Secretary of State, to thank firefighters for the amazing work they have done in unbelievable conditions. And I saw that firsthand myself during the floods, and obviously I saw it again, some of the recovery work and what was dealt with during it in Somerset just yesterday. David, in terms of the debrief, re-floods and a wider review, Oliver Letman is doing a wider review of how everything works, literally from how and when COVID is called the right way through the response period. As the person responsible for local government, I'm also responsible for flood recovery, and our department deals with the recovery side. And we are having those debriefs at the moment. I've already met with and had calls with every single authority that has been affected through the local government side on the recovery side. I'm now gradually starting to do the same with fire authorities, and actually had a conversation obviously with Somerset and Lee and the team yesterday, and we'll be starting to do that across all authorities to try and gather that information to make sure, actually apart from this, where there's some really good examples of good practice, that we're able to share that right across the fire family and the local government family, because actually one of the things that worked superbly, particularly on the ground around the country, was how the different agencies work together. And I think that's a great credit to everybody involved. But yes, absolutely, we will be doing that.
Thank you. We've got time probably for another 2 or 3 questions. Loads of hands going out.
We had resistance all the way from the FBU. In the end, we went to the firefighters direct, and all but one of them agreed. So we've got a good working relationship with the firefighters. Is the FBU relevant anymore?
Well, Andy, you certainly wanted to ask the question to get remembered this morning, didn't you? I think the fact that we are having negotiations and discussing pensions, probably, to be fair, as I show the FBU are relevant, and certainly for their members, play an important part in representing their views. But obviously they're not the only union in the fire service, and ultimately we've got to do what's right, and you as local authorities do what's right for your service, and ultimately, and actually particularly from the fire authorities' point of view, and the people like yourself, Andy, the members who are on it, are not elected and are not on those bodies, in my opinion, to represent the fire authority. You're there to represent the community who elect you, and to make sure you provide the best service for them, and that's why it's important. Going back to the point, actually going back to John's point from the very beginning around localism, is actually you having that ability and power to make the right decisions locally to deliver the best service for you, and bear in mind that in a modern world we do need to be changing, we do need to be moving forward, looking at modern practices. And I know you guys have got some leading examples in Buckinghamshire, and I visited you just a few weeks ago in the middle of the floods, and actually I've got to say it was a really good example of where firefighters were doing a phenomenal job sort of fighting back water as it was running down the Thames. Almost a battle you could see can't be won, but doing everything they can with every last ounce of strength in their body to do what they can to protect those properties for those residents, and working to reassure residents that somebody was there doing something for them and caring about them. I'm not going to get into a funding debate, but obviously, whenever new money comes forward from the British government, that is devolved through on the relevant funding formula. What you do in Wales to an extent on these things is devolved, so I'll let you sort that out locally. But Graham, with regard to the referendum limit, yes, you make a very, very valid point. I actually tend to agree with you. I think it is pretty unacceptable that we've got parish councils across the country, some of them, the worst of it is a 1,000% increase. Now, having said that, you can have a parish council having a 100% precept increase, which means they're going from 5p to 10p. And in many areas we are talking that kind of money, but there are a number of parish and town councils who have now got precepts, not many in terms of percentage of them, but there is some, whose precept is above that of a small district council. And we have this year sort of put them on alert that we are looking at this. There is a big difference, don't forget, between a parish and town council and district and county authority and fire authorities, in the sense they don't get government grant. They are entirely reliant on the precept they get from the members of the public. But we are looking at it. When we've got authorities, parishes and town councils charging well over 100 and some over £200 a year, then they are into the realms of actually we need to be looking at that. So what we've said to quite clearly this year is be very sensible about what you're doing. We're looking at it. We're not ruling out taking action on those authorities next year. Now, I'll be very clear about this. Adi said we have got absolutely no plans, intentions or desire to start putting a referendum limit on all parish councils. But we are going to look at those who are over and above district council levels and are still putting up the precept at a level that is just not fair to the general public who pay those fees.
Okay, thank you very